Hello everyone and welcome to today's top 10 list. Today I am going to count down the top 10 things that I want to see on the new Star Wars series, Star Wars The Bad Batch, which will debut on Disney Plus on May the 4th and is a follow-up to the series Star Wars The Clone Wars. So alright, let's get started. At number 10, I want to see an R2-D2 C-3PO cameo. R2-D2 and C-3PO are in so many pieces of Star Wars content. They were in the prequels, the original trilogy. They had decent-sized roles in Star Wars The Clone Wars, so I would like a little bit of a cameo for fan service here in Star Wars The Bad Batch, kind of like what we saw in Star Wars Rogue One, kind of how we just had like a little cutaway shot to R2 and C-3PO to see what they're up to. I think it would be nice to include them in this series. At number 9, discussions of Padmé's death. So a lot of these characters in this series will have known Padmé. They will have interacted with her in the Star Wars The Clone Wars series or in the prequels. And I really would like to see some of the characters talk about her untimely passing and kind of see what legacy she leaves behind. Number 8, new Jedi characters. So one thing I really like about the prequels and Star Wars The Clone Wars is how we get to see so many different Jedi characters, and I would really like to see what happens to some of the Jedi characters that we don't know the outcome for, that we saw in Star Wars The Clone Wars, or in the prequels, or really just even new Jedi that were around during the time period that we hadn't seen. I want to see how those characters interact with the Bad Batch. Number 7, additional characterization for the Bad Batch characters. So in the 4 episodes that we saw the Bad Batch in Star Wars The Clone Wars, the characters were a little bit one-dimensional in my opinion. In this series, depending on how long it is, I think it's really important that the characters get a little bit more characterization, that we get a little bit more well-rounded characters, and they become a little bit less one-dimensional. Number 6, what happened to Jar Jar Binks and Commander Cody? This has always been one of my biggest questions. What happened to Commander Cody? What happened to Jar Jar Binks? Really, ever since the prequel trilogy, I've been asking myself these questions, and I still don't have an answer. Both Commander Cody and Jar Jar Binks had decent-sized roles in Star Wars The Clone Wars and in the prequel trilogy, and that's really the only place we see them in Star Wars, are in the Clone Wars and in the prequels, so I want to see what are they up to. Why don't we see them in the original trilogy or in any of the other Star Wars series? They're two of my favorite characters, and I want to see what they're up to during this time period. Number 5, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka references. However, I do not want these characters to have big roles. So I really liked Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka in Star Wars The Clone Wars. In my mind, these were the 3 main characters of the show, with Captain Rex being the 4th main character. I really would like references to these characters because they had a very big role on Star Wars The Clone Wars. They shaped a lot of events. However, I do not want them to overtake this series. I don't think that will be a problem with Anakin. I'm not really sure how he can actually be in this series. Maybe some flashbacks. Maybe we'll get some scenes with Darth Vader. I don't think Obi-Wan will be in this series that much as he is on Tatooine, and I don't really think he will leave that much, and when he does leave, those events will probably be on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I am a little bit concerned with how much Ahsoka is in this show. I really like Ahsoka. I hope she's in it somewhat. I just don't want her to take over this series. But other than that, I am really hoping to see references or cameos from these 3 characters. Number 4, what is Palpatine up to? One thing I really like in the prequels and in Star Wars The Clone Wars is how we get to see Emperor Palpatine's eventual rise to power. Now in the Bad Batch, Palpatine's plans will have just paid off, and I really want to see what he's doing as Emperor and how he goes about running the galaxy, how the galaxy reacts to the change in government. A lot of these things really interest me. We got him in the prequels, we got him in the Clone Wars, and I kind of expect us to get a continuation of those things here in Star Wars The Bad Batch. Number 3, we saw it in Revenge of the Sith. We saw it on Star Wars The Clone Wars. I want to see it again. Order 66. I think a great start for the series would be Order 66. I definitely want to see it early on. I think this would be a great way to captivate the audience's attention right off the bat and start off the series on a high note. Number 2, I would like the first 4 episodes to be the Yoda and the Bad Batch arc that was meant to be in Star Wars The Clone Wars but never got finished. The stories were already written, They were already in production. I would really love it if the first 4 episodes for The Bad Batch was just a straight up copy and paste of this unfinished Clone Wars arc. I think that would really do a good job in pulling the audience into the show. We kind of continue the status quo from the Clone Wars, and then we could have Order 66, and all of a sudden that would be a change of pace for the series, and that's when the series can really get started. But I would absolutely love it if the first 4 episodes bring Yoda, The Bad Batch, Echo together. And originally, I didn't think the chances of this happening would be very high. However, the premiere of the series is supposed to be 70 minutes long, so who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Finally, at number 1, I don't want to see unaired Clone Wars episodes adapted to fit into this series. Now, I don't know if I should include this on my list, as it's actually something that I don't want to see, as opposed to something that I do want to see. But there were a lot of episodes for Star Wars: The Clone Wars that the stories were written, production had started. However, the series was canceled before these episodes could be finished. And there were some very good storylines there. In my last points, I talked about the Yoda and the Bad Batch arc. There were also some storylines with Boba Fett and Cad Bane, among a lot of other good storylines. And my hope is that these storylines aren't adapted to fit into Star Wars: The Bad Batch, because I hope, and ultimately I think this will occur, but I really want to see the unaired Clone Wars episodes finished at some point. Like I said, I think they will be, and that is why I hope that the key moments from some of those episodes aren't adapted to fit into this series. So those were the top 10 things that I want to see in the new Star Wars show, Star Wars: The Bad Batch. I am very excited. I think it's going to be a great series, and those are just some of my thoughts about it. What do you want to see on Star Wars: The Bad Batch? Let me know in the comments below, and have a great day.